Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Sunday night shit show. How are you, Pat? I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever. It's been like a day and a half.
Well, that's true, but mostly because you've been doing the show and I've been busy, and I appreciate all
You
the
were
work
busy at brunch.
put into it. I was literally at brunch. The resistance goes to brunch.
They've gotten you. They're hooks in you.
Yeah, no, it was my mom's birthday a couple days ago, so we got together, and the young men here in the house, we cook every time, so it's like
Nice.
I made omelets and whatnot, and
I like that. That's
Good.
Awesome. Well, good. Happy birthday to your mom.
Thank you. How's your world? What's going on?
It's good. My younger son Xander turned 19 on Friday. So holy cow, I'm like only a few years older than my kid. It's the craziest thing. Actually, so they're my older son Asher and he are at school together with their friends. They drove into Minneapolis, and one of the punishments for losing fantasy football was they went to an open mic comedy show and had to read from the script that the winners wrote for them.
So they had to tank on oh my God, I love that.
It was actually excellent. And then because it was Xander's birthday and they got him wasted, the MC actually brought him up and had him read the rest of his set. It was fun. I thought that could be a fun punishment for you thinking that Trump wouldn't be the Republican nominee. I'll write a set for you that you have to go do.
Fake news.
All right, well, because we have a guest tonight that we're really excited about. So let's thank our wonderful pup heroes and sheroes, all of our members. We love you and adore you, and we are so grateful to all of you. Cheers to the pup family. Truly appreciate all of you guys.
Here. And my drink of choice in honor of Trump and us not going back is Rewind Triple IPA.
Oh my God.
Thought it would fit here.
Everything old is new again. All right. So let's bring on Mr. Ron Placone. Hello. Welcome. How are you?
What's up? Good to see y'all. Thanks for having me on. Good to be back.
And a huge congratulations on your new movie. We're going to show the trailer in a minute, but why don't you tell us something about your film?
Well, so my film is called Left at Wall. I like to describe it as, imagine if The Big Short and High Fidelity had a baby and then that baby joins a union. And so it's a family comedy, but it also calls out the Wall Street machine pretty hard. And it is inspired by the GameStop thing that happened just about 4 years ago today.
Yep.
So it's kind of under that backdrop. It's way different than Dumb Money, because Dumb Money is more about the actual event. Ours is a fictional story that's just sort of loosely inspired by it, but everything's fake. Like it's a different video game store. It's called Game Bytes, and instead of Reddit, it's a fake social media platform called Red Room. So yeah, it's inspired by that event, but it's totally its own thing. You all have an amazing cameo that I actually have a fun story about that I look forward to sharing.
Okay. Well, we can't wait to hear it. I watched it on Friday. I think that was the day it was released. I might watch it Saturday. Loved it. God, how is it that it's a day ago or 2 days ago, and that's just so far back in my brain fog memory. I loved it. And I also loved that, well, first of all, I love looking at the beach. All the shots on the beach just brought me in. I loved the casting because everybody felt so real. I loved the little snippets of Hollywood life. I loved the sibling rivalry, and the soundtrack was so great. I just loved it. I was so impressed with it. Seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And I will, I will give some gratitude. First of all, as far as the cast goes, I got incredibly lucky that my entire wish list said yes.
That's so nice,
not one person who I wanted and who I had Eddie Pepitone in mind for the bartender. I had Gareth Reynolds in mind to play, but the only person that was not my first choice was me. I'm not even kidding.
That's me for this podcast, Ron.
I wasn't even I wasn't totally sure that I was going to play the guy, but I'm like, well, we'll see where the funding is. And, with the way funding worked out, I thought, you know what? If there's a way I cannot pay one of the leads, I better take advantage of that. So I didn't pay that Ron Placone guy. He worked for free, that sucker, but everyone else got paid.
You were great.
Royalties, Ron. That's what I want to know, because I know in my waiver it's like 5% or something. What was
I
it?
gave you the M&Ms you requested.
Oh,
that was what we agreed on.
We're getting a lot of fan comments in here. I gotta look here. Look at all the people who love you. Loving
What's up,
Ron.
Dee, Kimmy, Zainab?
You know I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because oh my god, here we go. I gotta read them all first. Okay. Yeah, Zainab, you and me both. Hi. Yes, look at all these people coming to say hi, hello. Okay. And actually, it's so funny. Somebody had just, one of our wonderful friends here, Truth to Tweet, had just DM'd us to say, you guys really need to get Ron on for his movie. And then like a few minutes later, the blurb, our post came out. Yeah, it was great.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we love our pup family.
All right. So before we get to your clip, where can people find the movie? Where can they rent it?
You can get it on YouTube Movies, so you don't even have to leave YouTube. You can get it on YouTube Movies. You can rent it or buy it there. You can get it on Apple TV. You can rent or buy it there. You can get it on Google Play. You can get it on Xbox. You can buy the DVD. For those of you who love the physical media, you can buy the DVD. And if you need the direct links to any of that, just make sure you're following me at Ron Placone on all the socials, and all the links are there. And if you're on your smart TV, just type in Left at Wall. All the ways to watch it come up. If you're on YouTube, just type in Left at Wall, and the way to watch it should pop up right there. Distribution is a slow process. Because I know in certain countries where we might not be available yet, but if you're having any issues, just let me know, and I will forward all those questions to the distributor, and everyone who wants to see it will be able to. But yeah,
and you should. It's really great. It has so much heart, and it's interesting how much you and Gareth look similar. Like you're very believable as brothers.
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, no, I had him in mind. I just thought he'd be like a really fun choice for that role, and he knocked it out of the park. I mean, working with Gareth was so much freaking fun.
Yeah, he was great, and I don't want to give too much away, but he played lots of different notes that worked really, really nicely. So it was great. So with that, let's show a little preview. This is the preview or the trailer for Left at Wall.
So you must want to talk about something if you came all the way here. What's up?
I'm going to propose.
No way. Certainly don't think of it as something where you kind of have to outdo what Tiffany and I did. We had such a big wedding because it means nothing to us. You know, her family has money, I have a ton of money.
Don, can we not talk about money right now?
Well, why else are you telling me this?
Because you're my brother.
So I'm a writer. My brother Don is on Wall Street.
They basically created a casino out of our economy.
No, we're short selling the stock, which is financial jargon for, you probably wouldn't understand.
You know, I bet I would.
It's just you guys are so hard on each other.
What the hell do you mean you don't know how to make an old fashioned? How about this? Let me behind the bar, I'll make the old fashioned myself.
Give me a break, pal. Does this place look like we make old fashions?
I just can't do this anymore. I think we need a break.
What?
So there I was. No girlfriend, no work, no agent. Was this rock bottom? And that's when I got an idea. Dude, Game Bites. We all need to buy shares of it.
I lost a lot because of these idiot hackers.
Well, they're not hackers, but... This isn't about you, Don. This is bigger. This is about sticking up to this corrupt system and actually fighting back for once.
Oh, shut up, John.
It's great. It's so much fun. And you know, what you also captured so well is that as soon as the little people do exactly what the system does, it's political violence, it's hacking, it's, you know, like that's the whole game. But as soon as we try to play, we're the Luigi's. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we do play that up. Well, when the event happened, that was what a bunch of people were saying. They were, oh yeah, they hacked it. They didn't hack anything. They just did the same thing people on Wall Street do all the freaking time.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like the hawk to a girl with their meme coin. It's just they got theirs.
Yeah, it's what Trump's doing to all of his fans with his Bitcoin, right? Like,
Same,
it's
yeah.
all a Ponzi
with his
scheme.
coin, yeah,
Or whatever it's not whatever the hell, I don't know.
He had his own coin. I don't know what it was called, like Trump's tariff coin.
Yeah, but the whole thing is a Ponzi scheme. All of it is a Ponzi scheme. You're not like, I think a lot of people are really starting to understand that, but it's interesting to see that top tier of the Jamie Dimon. I mean, we have some clips of the Jamie Dimons and the Ellisons and the Sam Altmans and all the people who want to remake the world so they can make a few more $1 billion. As soon as we start trying to get it's political violence. We're like they cannot stand for a second the thought of sharing. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely amazing, and yeah, we're really seeing this all firsthand. And we kind of talk. I mean, that's the fun part about the movie is Wall Street is really behind almost every issue we have.
Yeah.
Like the war machine, Wall Street, healthcare, Wall Street. I mean, it's all just kind of Wall Street. And so in the film, we really do, under the kind of backdrop of a guy giving a narrative video podcast, he kind of breaks down like how effed up it is that we ever had a system like this.
It's insanity.
Yeah, like it's just such a ridiculous way to run a society.
Yeah.
And so the movie kind of addresses that, and then kind of shows how it can just affect just a regular family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
the economy doing great is all about Wall Street and people who own these shitty stocks. That's everything really right now.
Yeah.
That's their measure.
It's like
the stocks are up.
The stocks are up, and then
Let me check my portfolio.
Produce absolutely nothing, own the means of production, and then the shareholders, it's like a warped socialism only for the super wealthy.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they have all of the tools to get the results they want.
Yeah.
So it's like they're making bets, literally bets, where they get to dictate everything to determine the outcome. It would be like betting on a sporting event, except you're playing in it too.
Yeah.
Like
but now we're at the next level is they all own each other's stocks. So all the companies at the top are like, hey, the Lakers lost to the Celtics. Well, good thing the Lakers have 50% share in the Celtics.
Yeah, right. And we all can print more, or they can print more of their own money and just hand it out the way they want to, and keep making us like clean the chairs and the tables while they're watching the races. Yeah, it is so disgustingly corrupt and like a brutal system. And again, like, okay, in the actual GameStop, the people who did it, they all held on to their stocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened? Because most of them weren't allowed to cash in, or were any of them allowed to cash in? Was the main guy like?
Some of them definitely made some money.
Yeah,
they definitely couldn't stop all of it. I mean, there's people that made like a buttload of money. What they tried to do was they just tried to put a kibosh on all of it, and they shut down the Robinhood app.
Right, but who shut it down?
that.
Like the FEC, like who shuts that down? How do you get to shut it down? What had they done that was illegal? Like, well, I can't remember what their claim was. It was kind of like hacking.
Their claim was that it was some kind of, I don't know if they used the word conspiracy, but they basically said like that those people, like it was like an unnatural disruption, even though again, people on Wall Street do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like they do that all the time. But a bunch of people gathered online to do the exact same freaking thing.
Right.
And, all of a sudden, oh, that can't happen. And they shut down the Robinhood stock, and they shut down or the Robinhood app.
Right.
Shut down. I'm pretty sure they shut down a lot of the, Reddit rooms that were involved as well. So yeah, I mean, the movie definitely nods to the event itself.
Yeah. Well, because it was atrocious to see how quickly the government swept in to take care of their wealthiest donors. Like,
right.
yeah.
Right. But it was also kind of hilarious for a couple of moments in there too. I mean, watching these finance bros, and most of them were bros, but watching these finance bros just lose their freaking minds.
Yeah.
That somebody did this to them. And it was kind of, you're just kind of watching it like, wow, especially since this was in 2021. And by the way, I don't want to give much away. I don't want to give too much away with the plot, but one thing I will share is there is a character in the movie who is a right-wing podcast host. And
I saw. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that.
it's played by Graham Elwood. He did an amazing job. He was so freaking funny. And I'm not gonna get into specifics because obviously I want everyone to watch the movie, but he gives different recommendations on ways to boost your portfolio and stuff like that. The recommendations he gave was all stuff that I gathered. Remember when Clubhouse was happening?
Yeah.
So Clubhouse was happening around the time I was writing Left at Wall.
Okay.
And so while I was writing Left at Wall, the Clubhouse thing was like big and everyone was in Clubhouse. I would go into different like investor and real estate Clubhouse rooms and just be a fly on the wall. And that was literally what these people were talking about during the pandemic. So Lila, you saw the movie, so you know what I'm referring to. That whole thing was real. That whole thing was happening. And that's what that stuff was actually based off of. I've been asked about that before at like different screenings. They were like, oh, that thing that he said. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was real. That was freaking real.
Yeah. They have no soul. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just the
it's evil.
craziest. It's evil. And yeah, he very much did feel like he was paying homage to one of your former colleagues. As Justin said, Demi Jor. So, what was the thing you were going to tell us before we move on?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So you guys, again, not giving anything away, but you guys, there's a part in the movie where there's fake news segments, and you guys did one of them. And what happened there was while we were going through the quality control process, I don't know which platforms did it, and even if I did, I wouldn't single anyone out because I don't want to. I don't want to make anyone mad. But
StreamYard, fuck StreamYard. We're so
no. What's a StreamYard? I mean, the places carrying the movie, but
okay.
they flagged your guys' stuff and the other stuff because they were like, I think those are real podcasts that you're pulling content from, and you're not a documentary. And I said, okay. And I was like, but you understand the context, right? These are fake reports. Like they made this for the movie. Like these are people I know, and they made it for the purpose of my movie. And they go, yeah, but they're actual shows. And I go, well, yeah, I mean, of course they're actual shows. Like, why is that? So they didn't understand. And I didn't want to be rude because part of me wanted to be like, you realize Game Bite's not a real thing, right? Like this wasn't a real broadcast that I just pulled from the internet.
Right.
So I explained it, and it took longer than it should have for them to understand the context. But what finally got through was the person they go, so you're saying it's like in the Rocky movies where they do a news report about Rocky and it's on ESPN, and ESPN is definitely a real network, but Rocky's not real. So it's like a fake thing made for the movie. And I'm just sitting there and I'm going, yes, that's what happened. These were fake reports made for the purposes of my movie.
Oh my goodness.
Like they used the names from my movie. They never would have used these names otherwise. It was written in my movie.
Right.
And they want to be there. I did not take their stuff randomly from the internet. It's not on the internet. It was made for this purpose.
Specifically
sent to me. And then they go, oh, that's fine.
You know, it's funny because like on some level, I appreciate that there's any level of protection for anybody that they're looking out for. But that's a very funny that they had to like go back to Rocky to come up with an example when you see like, Dan Rather and, Wolf Blitzer is in every movie now playing a version of himself doing the news.
I see them so much. Yeah. I'm like, how do you have time to do the news? Like every news show has a cameo by these guys at CNN. Especially.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it was just kind of funny. I mean, when they first dinged it, I sort of was like, can we have a conversation? Because I feel like context is a little lost here.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, we were able to smooth it out. But yeah, it was a little humorous where it was. And then, yeah, I also was I noticed the Rocky ref. I was just like, oh man, you picked a really topical one there.
That's a callback. Yeah.
But yeah. So
well, if you need me to call them and tell them I got the M&Ms.
Yeah. Right. It was kind of a funny experience, but then once they realized what it actually was, they were like, "Oh yeah, that you're fine." But yeah,
that's so funny. That is funny. Thank you, International Party of Antarctica. Cheers. Destroy Starlink.
Is that IPA? Those initials.
Look at that.
I can appreciate those initials.
That's right. All right. Are you able to stick around for a little bit, do a segment or two? And
let's stick around.
Get to hear some of your brilliant commentary on what's happening in the current events.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Oh my God. I got to get Kamala off that. I can't stand it.
It's triggering. It's very triggering, isn't it?
Thank you, Justin. Nationalize Starlink. Yeah.
That I'll get behind. That I will get behind. We got yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's happening with the billionaire, with the broligarchy, as the Democrats.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Broligarchy. We'll work on it. I think the seed's there.
The seed is there because it's not going to be about policy. It's just going to be coming up with funny disses to get them. That's the whole strategy at this point. Yeah. So we had last week we had what's his name, Biden, giving a strident warning against the billionaire class and the oligarchy. Yes. As though it were completely new.
I really hope that guy runs for office and does something about it.
2028, baby. He's coming.
Yeah, it was funny watching all the contemporary American liberals all of a sudden be like, we're in an oligarchy. It's like, welcome to the party. You learned a new word this week. We're proud of you.
Lambasted Bernie 5 years ago for saying the same thing, but now they recognize it. Not everyone is against it. However, one of the front runners for DNC chair candidate is, there's the good billionaires and the bad billionaires, and we're waiting for the distinction. But he was asked a question.
There are a lot of good billionaires out there that have been with Democrats who share our values, and we will take their money, but we're not taking money from those bad billionaires.
Here, thank you, Joe Martin.
I mean. They've gone from like, I'm a real billionaire. What was it, Governor Pritzker, right? Unlike Trump, I'm a real billionaire. He says on the DNC convention stage, like not taking the temperature of, politics in the country at all. And now we have good and bad billionaires. And I would love for somebody to explain to me what a good billionaire is.
Well, he just explained it to you. The good billionaires give Democrats money and the bad ones don't. So the good ones give Democrats money. The bad ones just don't. So anyone can be a good one if they just give Democrats money. Whether you're an oil company, doesn't matter. Just give the Democrats money. Then you're one of the good ones.
Yeah. Good billionaires withhold vaccine patents to the world.
Yes,
pandemic.
That's right.
That's very important for a good billionaire Democrat to do.
That's right. Some other good billionaires who gave money to the Democratic Party, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, the pipeline from being pathologically greedy, where it's never enough, and being a good billionaire, to being an outright fascist and proudly standing in front of the cabinet of the new administration on stage and exercising all your power over the country as much as you can, is like 4 years. That's all it takes. 4 years.
It is so, and that's why I'm especially glad I'm on your guys' show today, because man, what he has done with the executive orders and what he's trying to do. I mean, I don't know how everybody is not just screaming at the top of their lungs. He's silencing all of the health, like all public health entities are just being silenced. And look, I'm not saying there's not some room for criticism. I have at various times referred to the CDC as the Capitalism Defense Center.
Yeah.
But to silence them, to not allow them to disseminate information at a time where, you know why there's not many eggs on the shelf? It's because of the bird flu.
Yeah,
I mean,
it started over a year ago. I mean, that's the problem. Silence, because Biden didn't want anybody to know about it either.
Right.
And Tom Vilsack, like, so yeah, you're right. But like, again, I feel like the same thing that we talk about all the time is, you know, and we have like 6 different graphics that we can show of, you know, the CDC shutting down, you know, they're not collecting data anymore from hospitals. They're changing the color of their transmission map. We're, you know, taking away the public health emergency, which takes away the funding for collecting data, you know, all these different things that happened under Biden in 2022, when mild Omicron was killing more people than Delta ever did every week. And there was silence, right? They took away the death ticker.
Yeah, he gets away with it because everybody let Biden get away with it. Biden stopped reporting these numbers. It wasn't a public service announcement of where COVID is. We know that Biden covered up a lot of the bird flu stuff. So like he just lobbed up, just do more of the same and do a little more evil, because that's what we expect from you as a Republican, as MAGA, as Trump. And everybody in the press right now is just like, well, they're doing all these bad things, but you know, the public seems to be behind it all. They're supporting it all. That's the narrative.
I mean, yeah, it's just, well, so here, one of the people that I follow a lot is a doctor named Dr. Ruth Ann Crystal. She has a very, very good newsletter. If you've ever read her, it's just like really good public health information, just lays it like it is. And this paragraph, I mean, I just had like, I got a chill when I freaking read this. All right. Like just a freaking chill down by spies. So just like breathe this in. Tuesday, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced that federal health agencies, including the NIH, CDC, and FDA, should pause all external communications, including health advisories, weekly scientific reports, updates to websites, and social media posts until at least February 1st. Robert Kennedy Jr.'s confirmation hearing is scheduled for January 29th. This is like that's, I mean, it's watching just, I mean,
it's a disaster.
It's a disaster.
Beyond a disaster.
Yeah.
Of all the things in his administration, RFK Jr., and to me, that's one of the worst. Most dangerous for society right now is that
RFK.
That idiot.
Yeah,
yes,
that guy is such a freaking moron. And a lot of people, I think, were duped by him at first. If you haven't seen through him by now, you are in a dream world. Or you just don't want to. You're just in denial.
Okay, so I mean, I agree with everything. It's all hideous. He's an asshole. I can't stand him. Can't stand any of them. My one hope is, you know, bird flu has been out there now for a full year. And we, you know, in California, Governor Newsom declared a public emergency, but then there's no guidance. Like, what does that mean? 2 months ago, oh, it's a public emergency. Last week, a Georgia facility that I think does 15% of poultry, eggs, anything poultry related in our country, shut down entirely.
Yeah, they killed all of
it, right? That was when Biden was still president. Nobody knows about it, right? So my hope is that possibly because Trump does everything so brazenly even though what Biden was doing, honestly, was just as dangerous and disgusting. But that because Trump does it so brazenly, that at least some people might call it out. And like now the CDC is making sure, like, nope, we're still collecting data. And actually, here's the COVID infections for this week. It's the first time I've seen the CDC show up and talk about COVID in like a year.
That I like that. And I really, I think that's a strong, I want you to be right. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like I don't disagree. I just
too.
really want you to be right.
No, I
We
know.
Because
are positivity archaeologists.
No, I love it. I love it because
We'll try to find something.
That's a good way to look at it, where, well, maybe these agencies will really wake up. They're not going to sugarcoat anything anymore. And because I mean, it was so freaking ridiculous during the Biden administration. It took how long before they would go, oh, you know what? You might want to open a window in our classrooms.
I mean,
that'll help.
Yeah. Disgusting. It was so disgusting. And like, the fact that 3 weeks ago when the fire started, the mayor of LA, who wanted to ban masks and then got COVID the very next day.
Yes.
Back in the
Oh,
spring.
that was,
But,
didn't learn the lesson, but
Hey,
but
you
had
got
to,
any
like,
of those
go to-
masks that
They
don't
had to
work?
go to mutual aid to get N95s during the fires. And that's Democrats, Democratic city in a Democratic state, so like, I think that just the way, we're going to do the Trump weave where we bounce around to so many different topics. So stay with me for a second, but just the way that pastor or bishop, whatever was called, being so courageous for speaking out against Trump for deportations, I mean, Biden had more deportations than Trump did, but not as many as Obama, actually, right? But like nobody called out Biden for that to his face. And by the way, she didn't call out his genocide to his face, but all of a sudden she's courageous because she's talking about the deportations, which great. I'm thrilled. Like, talk about the deportations, but like, let's be consistent about these brutal policies that both parties are doing. And because it seems that people are only called courageous when they speak out against the biggest buffoon in the world, great. Like, let's do it. But like, let's have a public health organization.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm
that
so
threatens
frustrated.
capital.
Yeah.
I mean, that threatens capital.
Right.
That's the issue. The neoliberals always set the table for the fascists, and we're seeing it. It just we've seen it play out over the past 4 years, and here we are. And Trump is a very brutal and blunt personification of all that. I mean, the stuff he is doing, I mean, it is beyond appalling. And I think this time around, it's his second time. He has absolutely nothing to lose. He surrounded himself. I think the people he surrounded himself is even more dangerous than the first time. I mean, he's got a true clown car of oligarch lunatics. And just also like a technological feudal takeover in the works. I mean, and now he's got, now Zuckerberg's kissing his ass too. I mean, he's got everybody in his corner, and it's just like a ghoul parade. And
and they're all getting handed whatever they want. I mean, he's so weak. It's the real thing.
It's just money. It's all transactional, right?
He's just all about his brand, and he'll just kind of do whatever the people around him want him to do. And by the way, he was just handed a ton of power. A lot of people don't realize the gift that the whole TikTok thing actually was to him. Because here's the thing about that policy, which, by the way, Trump supported it first, and then Democrats supported it too. And then Democrats really pushed for it. They created a problem that didn't exist, because at the end of the day, what were they really mad about? First of all, a lot of Democrats and Republicans had a bunch of money invested in domestic software, so they wanted to threaten anything foreign, and TikTok was an easy scapegoat. And also, they didn't like the fact that a bunch of young people were mobilizing around issues like Free Palestine. Right. So that's what this was really about the whole frickin' time. But then they were the dog that got caught by the car, because they realized how many millions of people use TikTok, and it wasn't going to make them look good. So Biden just kind of passed the buck. He goes, well, Trump will handle it. So now Donald Trump gets to look like the good guy by saving it. Here's the deal, though. With that policy, Donald Trump or whoever is president now has the power to just get rid of any foreign application they don't like. The president now has the power to do that. It's very Patriot Act-esque. So Donald Trump has that newfound power. So everybody in the tech space is going to kiss his ass all day, every day for the next 4 frickin' years, especially, domestic players like Elon Musk, like Mark Zuckerberg, et cetera, et cetera. So this has been, and then you still have people that apply this pretzel logic delusion, like Trump's an outsider who's going to rein in big tech and he's going to rein in. He's an insider.
Yeah.
He's the insider of the insiders. And now he is big tech. I mean, it's just
they all are. And by the way, so was that's what Kamala wanted, right? Like she was parading around with them. They just shifted when they realized that she was going to lose.
Yep.
But like that was the plan. They were going to win. Those tech billionaire broligarchy, they were winning either way, 100%. Should we hear from a couple of them? Because the other thing that Democrats helped do was re-up the surveillance part of the Patriot Act. I can't remember the exact number of that bill that they did, but again, unless the Democrat, and by the way, Democrats, I feel like are just as horrible with all of this anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if you are somebody who believes that Democrats are better and they keep passing, they wanted that draconian border bill and they did the more of their surveillance. I mean, Biden actually re-upped the 9/11 public emergency terrorism that from 2001, Bush's Patriot Act, basically, and while he was quashing the public health emergency for COVID, right? So like they choose exactly what they want, and what they want is more weapons and more surveillance. But like, unless the Democrats plan always to win every single election, when they're serving up the infrastructure for total fascist takeover every chance they get when they're in power.
Yep.
And they're seeding, just to see Trump immediately come in and do 100 shitty things, which please his base. And Biden couldn't even lie that they want to do one good thing to please the left base. Yep. It's so obvious to people like, oh, you didn't have power. Well, these guys, they don't have a super majority. They barely have a majority. And immediately he does 100 things. And he's like, well, let's take it to the courts or whatever. But Biden wouldn't do that.
No, but
for anything, for votes, even not even really doing it. Like he couldn't even lie to get elected. I mean, Kamala. But,
well, Kamala couldn't even distance herself just a little bit to try. I mean, especially, and I'm not saying that if she would have been better on foreign policy during the campaign, she for sure would have won. But it definitely would have helped her, especially in a place like Michigan. Michigan, a state where Rashida Tlaib won by 70% of the vote in her district, and Kamala could not take that state. I think had she had a better message on Gaza, I think she would have had a shot of at least winning that state. I don't know if she would have won the election, but
slightly respectful to people who were in pain and terrified about what's happening to their families in Palestine, in Lebanon, she couldn't even have somebody who is an elected Democratic representative on that stage with a scripted speech. Would not let a Palestinian American on her DNC convention stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's like, well, she could have at least shown a little empathy, but that would have taken a lot of acting classes for her. And I just don't think there was enough time.
Do not come.
Do not come. Reflect.
That's my sex tip. If you're ever, if you're young and you need to hold out,
you think of Kamala. Think of Kamala. Cheers. Reflect the Sun. Thank you for the memberships.
20 memberships.
I know. Thank you. Yeah. So speaking of a little tech surveillance, let's hear from one of the broligarchy, Mr. Larry Ellison, who's part of this new $500 billion Starlink deal, or Stargate. What is it? Stargate? Whatever. Fuck it. I hate all this.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras. It's AI that's looking at the camera. No. You can't do this. It would be like a shooting. That's going to be immediately, that's going to be an event that's immediately, an alarm is going to go off. It's going to be, and we're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times. And the supervision will, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever.
This is RoboCop the movie, right?
I mean,
take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. We just, if there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop. A drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's
what's
no
that drone going to
reason
do?
for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drones.
I mean,
That
is terrifying. And that's the whole plan, is just mass surveillance. And again, it's why all of these companies, all of these tech companies also have their sidearm in weapons manufacturing, and Gaza is the testing ground.
What they're all doing is getting rich. All these businesses are getting rich by intentionally poorly implementing AI, like United Healthcare, for example. They're denying claims using AI. Israel is killing Palestinians because the AI did it, our poorly trained AI system. So they're all going to milk this adoption phase of AI to extract capital, and then they'll fix it and tune it back. But it's all money. The whole thing's always money.
It's just so freaking sad that it's like we have these tools that have a lot of amazing potential, but their first thought is, yeah, we could just use a drone. What can we, as a food delivery system? No. To chase people in cars and then probably kill them. But that's what we could do. And the cameras will be on all the time. And the cameras will totally be on the cops. And the cops will not be able to act up except for when those cameras accidentally malfunction, which is bound to happen whenever they're beating the shit out of somebody or shooting an unarmed person. But outside of that, they're going to be monitored. Cool story.
I mean, even that was one of the things that Obama did, right? Talked about the use of drones so that it didn't, our soldiers weren't being put in the line of harm. But, that 90% of the drones their targets ended up being 90% just civilians who had nothing to do with whatever crime is being put on, the terrorists of the day who, now run Syria or whatever. Who are the good ISIS members again? Who's the good Al-Qaeda? So this is all terrifying. And this idea of monitoring everybody, like even just the fact, I was reading, I don't know if it was Eve Six or some musician who was writing about how like those Spotify playlists, it's like it takes away the artists. Like most artists now don't release full albums in the way they used to. They're not telling a full hour story or hour and a half story with their music. It's like done by singles, because then those are more easily replicated by other artists or the producers who can do sort of some like sound alike stuff, and then that gets swept in. And so basically all of the AI stuff is meant to solve the problem of paying workers wages. Like in the end, it's to, just as you were saying, like just let the people on top amass the most amount of money. They can kill however many people they want from United Healthcare or denying claims or in war or whatever. But it's basically to solve the problem of paying wages.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're gonna go for. I mean that's what they're gonna go for, and we should. It'd be nice to live in a world. I mean, what's that famous meme that person tweeted? I feel bad I can't give credit, but they said, "Look, I don't want AI to make my art for me while I'm doing my laundry. I want AI to do my laundry for me so I can make my art."
Yeah.
You know, I forget who tweeted them. It's a very brilliant tweet, and it went super viral.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's sort of that's what the idea should be all about. It's like these technologies should serve humankind instead of just, you know, serve the oligarchy. Like, but that's what they're going to try for.
That's what they're going to try for. We have a little clip of one of the former good billionaires, Sam Altman, talking about the new social contract.
I still expect, although I don't know what, and this is over a long period of time. This is not a like next year or, you know, the year after that kind of thing. But over a long period of time, I still expect that there will be some change required to the social contract, given how powerful we expect this technology to be. I'm not a believer that there won't be any jobs. I think we always find new things to do. But I do think like the whole structure of society itself will, you know, be up for some degree of debate and reconfiguration.
Yeah,
what
jobs.
What does that mean?
We always find new jobs. Yeah, but they're going to pay like nothing. That's the whole point, you know, like.
Yeah, I think what he means there is that we're going to have a society like I do think we're on our way to like a society with less jobs, which could be an amazing thing if you just kind of restructured society and just made sure people's needs were met. And I think in certain places that have solid social safety nets, it could be a great thing. But in a dog-eat-dog place like the contemporary United States,
of course,
we're going to be F because they're going to just say, well, you're still kind of on your own. It's like, well, we don't need like we have all this. Well, it doesn't matter, though. We don't care. So you're still just kind of on your own to fend for yourself. I would love to, you know, live in a Jetsons like, I don't want to say utopia because there's no such thing, but like a Jetsons like future where we don't really need to work much anymore. I mean, you're still going to need like a lot of essential things, but it's like, you know, a time where it's like maybe you only need to sort of just monitor things for like an hour or two a day or something like that. I would love to live in that future, but
technology,
it would mess that up.
I mean, that's the whole point of technology. The washing machine saves labor, you know,
Sure.
It's saving labor so you can have your time and do something, but that's capitalism is just evil. The society is run on something that like they came up with the concept of planned obsolescence, and, you know, manufacturers design products that would fail quickly. So you'd have to buy another one.
Right.
And that's just,
they still do that with our iPhones, by the way.
Oh, everything they do with.
That's what they say. The Instapot was actually a bad invention because it lasts so long and it works so well, apparently, that the company was having problems because the people weren't like returning them and didn't need repairs.
Yeah, I mean, pantyhose are shit because they designed it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
You had pantyhose before that were fucking perfect. It lasts you forever.
Yeah, and now you can't even put them on without them having runs. And also, we know that these people, part of the joy they get out of having so much is knowing that other people have so little. Because the truth is, when Biden had a moment of, you know, popularity in the country, it was when he came in and did the COVID protections. Was it the Inflation Reduction Act? I don't know, whichever that gave like the child tax credit, which they, you know, they overpraised, but still, like, it actually reduced financial hardship in the country. And working from home, people actually really preferred that. You know, there were a bunch of changes to the social contract that actually worked out a lot better for working people and families. And that cannot be abided, because even though the wealthy people were still, you know, the disparity was still huge, they did not want to reinforce the idea that the government could provide a social safety net for labor. And so that was all stripped away. So they're not going to do it.
No, and you know, if you're looking to his tech bro broligarchy, you know, when the executive orders include, one of the most important things is Trump wanted was get back to work, get to the office, go to show up.
Yep.
And that's commercial real estate. That's it, because he's a commercial real estate guy. It's so fucking transparent. But that's the simplest, like, hey, technology should allow me to raise my family, raise my kids, be here at home as much as possible. You know, it's so overtly anti-worker.
Yep.
You can't.
Nobody should be commuting to an office unless they unless their job kind of warrants it. Like I know like not every job can be done from home. But any job that can be should be. And yeah, they're putting a kibosh on that because of all the developers. There's nothing to support. In fact, every study actually supports people are more productive when they have flexible work arrangements, which makes sense. Like instead of exhausting yourself with a freaking commute, you just roll out of bed and log on. You know, it's great. So yeah, it's ridiculous. And that was one of the many terrible executive orders. And but that's been brewing for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a bipartisan project because they're all owned by the same people, which is why, we have, one think piece after another about what Democrats have to do to win the vote back. The Pod Save Boys are on every, different news show, whatever, MSNBC. I was just listening. I can't believe I was doing this. Like, Pat, when I make fun of you for listening to NPR, I was listening to Pod Save America today.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I know.
Oh, God.
I haven't listened to them in like seriously years and years and years, but I saw that Rachel Maddow was on, and she also was talking about, billionaires and how horrible billionaires are. And she can't believe the bird flu epidemic and how they just killed, however many tens of thousands of chickens. And again,
if only she had access to a big platform to talk about this.
For a year. Thanks for showing up. And they're thanking her, like, how'd they bring you back? You're going to do 5 shows a night now. And it's like, how did they bring her back? She makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. What do you mean, how'd they bring her back? They just dangled more green in front of her nose. Like, what are you talking about? It's not out of the goodness of her heart that she's a big truth teller, right? But this whole, like, how do we, from the Democrats, how are we ever going to combat the messaging of Republicans? It's all messaging. We got to be louder. We got to get on those podcasts.
We got to be more Fetterman.
Oh my God. I saw that where they were talking about like Fetterman's going to be, which by the way, that's the most typical Democratic Party idea. You pick a guy who keeps going further and further to the right by the day. He's pretty much just MAGA now.
Campaign with Liz Cheney again. That worked.
Terrible foreign policy. But, well, he's different, though, because he wears a hoodie. It's amazing.
We should show the clip. But, I mean, the CNN pundit who's pitching this idea of the Democrats need to become more Fetterman, she's like, well, yeah, the base doesn't like him at all, but...
But think outside the box.
You're telling me in one sentence that we need to work on messaging to the base. And then you're like, well, the base doesn't like this guy, but he's our guy.
All right, let's just listen to her because she does have a job. She wrote a whole article for Puck and then they brought her on CNN. This is what's her name?
One person that we were talking about that has also tried to ingratiate themselves with the White House, maybe not ingratiate, but has met with them and certainly made the tributes is John Fetterman, a Democratic senator from Pennsylvania who Trump very much did not want to win that Senate race. You have some reporting on how people are kind of turning to him or certain Democrats who maybe feel rudderless. What have you heard?
Yeah, it's just that John Fetterman sort of offers like an authentic type of like bro masculinity that matches what Donald Trump was offering this election cycle. He's also a moderate from a state that the Democrats lost, and he speaks his mind. He speaks like from off the cuff authentically. He sounds like Donald Trump. He's not willing to buck the party and establishment in the same way that Donald Trump was willing to buck the party and the establishment and create the party in his own way. Sure, the base doesn't really love Fetterman a lot, and I think that's why you hear a lot of conspiracies that he's going to be a Republican, but he just like might be the guy that Democrats need right now when they don't have a unified leader who can just speak plainly in Trump's speak against him. He's the kind of guy who would go on Joe Rogan and really hold his own, and the Democrats don't have that person right now.
I hate her. I'm shaking with rage. I hate her so much. I can't even.
We don't have anyone who can speak as poorly as Trump. So Fetterman's the closest we got, is the guy who just speaks off the cuff and says some stupid shit.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you have a politics that revolves around people with marketing degrees and not people that understand policy or city planning or history or political science or anything like that. This is what it's like when you just put the camera on a bunch of people with really fucking boring marketing degrees, because that's what that was. That was just a bunch of surface oriented fluff.
Yep.
It's like rich people with marketing degrees who've never had to go shopping for themselves and talk to real people.
Mm-hmm.
And don't care. They don't want to be near any real people. This was from her article. So she wrote an article for Puck. Still, with so much noise around Trump, wouldn't it be easier to break through with one messenger who appeals to the voters that Democrats lost? A former DNC operative told me that Fetterman's center-left messaging stands a good chance of attracting independent voters. It's what appeals to most of the country who don't actually give a shit about politics, right? The operative said. Fetterman's not talking about stupid Bernie woke left shit that cost us the fucking election.
How was it Bernie's fault? Where was Bernie caught? What are you talking about?
Yeah, she was so far left. That's why. Because she was
Bernie
pro-fracking, pro-border bill, pro-genocide, anti.
And Bernie was like, you got to vote for
all.
that. So like that narrative is such crap.
They're still blaming Bernie.
They're still blaming Bernie. And just as a reminder, this was from 2024. This poll, sorry, Ron, I keep blocking you because of our format here. This, oh my God, it's so small. I keep needing to make it bigger and then I forget until I pull it again.
There are so many jokes she just lobbed up. I'm going to clip this. So many at 5:56 p.m. Josh, on your birthday, I'm sending you some good stuff.
All the things that are majority popular. This was across the board. This wasn't just Democrats. Okay. These are the people they say they want, not just the Mitt Romney Republicans, which it never does anything. She parades around with Liz Cheney and gets the same number of Republican votes or even fewer than Biden did in 2020. But anyway, expanding Medicare, cutting the cost of prescription drugs, expand Social Security, make the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes, institute a cap on rent increases. I mean, reinstitute the child tax credit, like every affordable housing. All of these are majority popular. And we all know, but I feel like it just really bears repeating because they repeat their lie so much that it starts to take hold. Like, you have Matt Iglesias out there saying that Matt Karp, who also wrote an article much like friend of show Stephen Semler's article, which posited that Kamala wanted to win. Who knows if that's true, but wanted to win, but without the left and without the anti-war group. And because she was paid by the same people Republicans are paid, she did not have an economic message. She didn't have an anti-war message. She didn't have a pro-healthcare, pro-climate, helping the climate, anti-fracking. She didn't have any of that because that hurts the bottom line of all of her donors. And because we all know that that's the truth, but as you were saying, Ron, it has to be dressed up like, we just need a plain speaker. Well, the plain speaker who talks about the policies that people want. But if they do that, like if Democrats won on a progressive economic policy platform, they would lose all their donors. So they don't want to win if that's what they have to do.
Well, here's how I look at it. Their big thing, priority number one is make sure the donors are cool. Make sure the donors are cool. Make sure the gravy train keeps rolling. Right. So that's the first priority. Priority number two is, let's try to beat a Republican. But as long as we don't mess up priority number one in doing so, if we mess with priority number one, then I guess we're just going to have to lose. So therein lies the problem. Yep. I mean, it's like the first priority is not winning, and that's just it's a systemic rot. I mean, it's just a systemic disease, and what's really sad is that we're getting further and further away from solving it. I mean, think about like in 2016, people were talking about getting money out of politics. People were talking about Medicare for all more than we are now. I mean, we kind of got it back in the zeitgeist a little bit with Luigi, but it's kind of fading already again because there's a billion things going on with the new Trump administration.
We're not talking about him anymore. What's going on with him? And doesn't he have siblings? No. I'm joking.
Yeah.
But like, why is it going to be talking? Like, what's going on with him? We need more of him. Go ahead. Sorry.
More Luigi, please. But I was just going to say that list of what's popular that you just showed, that what would get voters out and vote Democrat. They can't run on that, and they're now running on all that stuff is woke. Medicare for all.
Yeah,
is
everything
woke.
you don't like is woke now.
Like not being poisoned by your drinking water is woke. And you know who's against all that? John Fetterman, the guy in the shorts and the sweat top, who has brain glitches every time he speaks because he's had strokes. He's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
It's amazing to me. Yeah, I do love how like everything you don't like is just woke now. Like Trump could issue an executive order where I'm just gonna burn down every orphanage in every city, and people be like, "Good, those woke orphanages, they need to get it. They're too woke." It's like, what is that? What does that even mean anymore?
You got Rahm Emanuel coming on TV, who shouldn't be on TV. He should be ostracized from all of politics. He's so fucking corrupt. But he's out there blaming like Democrats were too woke during the pandemic with these lockdowns, which is utterly revisionist history.
Public health is woke.
Public health is he's woke. Like we were too. The mask killed us. The pandemic killed us.
I will say this too. I think, and I actually, I'm gonna. Originally, I said 10 years. With this new administration, I actually think it's more like 3 or 4 years. We are going to see a time in this country you are going to get shamed for washing your hands. And washing your hands is going to be considered woke. We are literally de-evolving when it comes to public health at a disturbing level. It is the way we have politicized public health. It is bizarre. It is creepy. Other countries, I mean, unfortunately, there's a little bit of that in other parts of the world too, but nowhere near to the degree of this. I mean, since 2020, I have been in Japan. I have been in Canada. I've been in Mexico. I've been in Italy. I have been in Scotland. It just does not exist in other places. Nowhere near the way it exists here. It is freaking bizarre.
Although McKinsey's going to get its hands on everybody, and because of they just need to wake up capital or like make sure that everybody's back to work. And masks were the scarlet letter. I totally agree with you, though. I mean, we started watching The Pit, which is the new show. It's an ER in Pittsburgh, but it's the same creator of ER, John Wells. And it's a really good show. I really like it. It even has some working class moments and casting and some, references to I bet they'd show up if you paid them as living wage. It's like, have not seen a mask, not even a surgical mask, in the first 4 episodes. And I said something to my husband, to Josh, and he was like, well, no, they can't do it because you got to see the eyes. And I was like, no, because in ER, I remember. And I went back in the very first episode and then in every other one. They're surgeons. They wore masks every time you saw them doing surgery in the ER. And now, not a single mask. You do see them doing the Purell, but so that has just become pervasive. I just had my yearly checkup. The only person wearing a mask was me in the waiting room where everybody is hacking up lungs, and my doctor was wearing an N95. Other than that, nobody, not a nurse, not a receptionist, not a doctor, except for mine. Nobody.
I got yelled at. So I wear masks outside right now because of how shitty the air is.
Because it's toxic.
Yeah. So I wear a mask outside, and this guy, and I live in the progressive sunny California, but yeah, I mean, this guy just yelled at me randomly. I was just walking down the street. This guy just freaking yells at me. And I'm like, oh my God, this has gotten so freaking bizarre. I'm not making a political statement right now. I'm protecting myself from toxic air. And this is just freaking bizarre. And I have a joke about it in my act. I mean, I have a joke about being COVID cautious and stuff like that. And when I did the line in Japan, like I performed in Tokyo last year, when I did the line about, about wearing a mask and stuff, a lot of people in the audience just didn't understand it because they were like, why do people have a problem with that? What are you talking about? Like, they didn't understand it. It's bizarre. And I really do feel, I'm not embellishing, in a couple years, it'll be, you're going to get shamed for washing your hands. That's going to be too woke or against people's freedoms. Like we are literally, we're going backwards on germ theory.
Yeah,
we really are. That's not an embellishment. This place is a bizarre cult.
Thank you, Willie Bragg. if it's woke to wash my hands, I guess I'm woke. Anything left of center is woke to these sick-minded right-wing people. Silly American Overton window. And yeah, I mean, the thing, thank you, cheers for the super chat. But also the thing that is so maddening is that is the Democrats, the so-called, left side of whatever our, duopoly is, totally caving to the right.
Big time. And showing no backbone, no context, no listening to public health on anything. And it was all, honestly, I think the main villain is just straight up capitalism. Yeah. They wanted you back to work. So they were going to do whatever they had to do to get you back to work.
Declare it over. Declare it a success.
Declare it over. We have policies that say you could literally go to work with COVID.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I mean, that is
Hey, Ron, you could get fired for not going to work with COVID.
Right. I mean, dude, it's just beyond the frickin' pale. And now they're somehow making that even worse, putting someone like RFK in charge. RFK, a guy who has just peddled absolute whack pseudoscience his entire frickin' career, because that was the only way he could get any attention in his family. A guy who was born on third base, not just with third base, the bases were loaded and the batter just got hit with a fucking pitch. All he had to do was walk to home plate, and he somehow just fell on his way there. I mean, it's absolutely, all of his stories are just about how he's rich and never had to live with consequence. That guy is in charge of public health. The guy who is a total warmonger, loves a genocide, but also at the same time pushes anti-Semitic conspiracy theories around COVID with a straight face. The guy is out of his freaking mind. And that guy is going to be in charge of public health. It is frightening.
It is.
Guy has
but it can only happen. It can only happen because Democrats ceded public health entirely. They just said, whatever the Republicans think, half of you guys think that. We don't want to be too woke and argue about what's actual science.
We got to get everybody back to work. Yeah, it's really depressing. I toggle back and forth between thinking that the outrageousness of Trump and his administration will spur some of the commentariat class to actually comment and fight back. But then, there's also it's too woke and we need to be more like Fetterman side of things. And I'm really worried this happens to Pat because of StreamYard.
No, this is happening intentionally because my cat is dropping my green screen, and I don't know what's behind there. You can see.
So okay, let's look at another clip of the just because then we can end this horrific. And I had to sit through some of it, so
then we can end this.
End the horrific discussion.
These horrible people
from the marketing bros, the pod save boys. Let's just. I suffered through it, and so now you all have to too. And also, I'm refilling my wine, and we should probably do a timeline cleanse or something, Pat, when you come back.
What is it that breaks through all of this? You know what that is happening? Where and to that voter that I told you guys about, who likes Trump, but is going to probably not benefit at all from his policies.
I think the hardest part of getting to that voter is not what we say, but reaching that voter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think part of it is volume. If you look at Donald Trump's inaugural day, he did 3 inauguration speeches. The real one, the overflow, the rally at night, then a press conference, right? It was
a reality show.
Yeah. And when you are playing a volume game, you need rep after rep after rep to make sure it gets clipped on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it gets shared on X. And the algorithms are killing us right now. Like Elon Musk is skewing everything towards the Republican Party. So we need to try even harder.
What a lazy, dumb analysis. First of all, he's not wrong in the sense that, like, yes, X or Twitter, I refuse to call it X. Fuck that.
Same.
Twitter skews to, like, literally not even right wing, like literally like neo-fascist, just neo-Nazi bullshit. Yeah. Like it skews to that algorithm. Yes, that is true. He's not wrong there, but less than 20% of the freaking country is on Twitter. Yeah. Even when Twitter wasn't completely awful, that was the case. So no, dude, your little bubble is not the entire country. So it's not just about Twitter, first of all. Second of all, look, they're going to make a big deal about volume. They're going to make a big deal about getting on podcasts and stuff like that. I'm sorry, this isn't an endorsement or anything like that, but why didn't Kamala Harris make time for Joe Rogan if that's the case?
Yeah.
If that's such a big priority, it was really stupid. I'm not saying,
but for
it's
her,
the
it was
biggest
actually
podcast
smart.
in the world.
Like,
Well,
if you
'cause she
want
would've
someone to
done-
go, she would have. I mean, like every time she opens her mouth, she gets herself in trouble because she's such an empty suit. And I mean, so is Trump, but like he knows Trump is a showman. Like he actually knows he was a star. He was a TV star. I hate that reality TV shit, but like he has an audience, he plays to them and he knows how to play to them. The things he says are either atrocious or lies, but he also has a way of interacting with them and making people feel heard, even though he lies.
Right.
She couldn't even lie convincingly because she,
Yeah, I'm with you. No, you're 100% right. But it's like still, it's the biggest podcast in the freaking world.
Of course.
You got to make time for that. I mean, that's just the way it goes. You don't
But-
have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But yeah, that's got to be on your agenda.
God damn it, Strick. Have you considered a few
looks
more
kinda
emails?
cool, actually. I
More
think-
volume of emails from Kamala could cancel out going on Joe Rogan.
Second idea, what if it comes from her iPhone? What if it's one of those Kamala's iPhone?
Now
and
you're
then
thinking
the
spitball.
What if
subject
it's
line is, "We
Kamala
need
but
you"?
AI, so she doesn't say anything stupid, and she's sitting back in her bed like AOC, like, oh my God, isn't this great? I'm the vice
It's always
president.
like a thirst trap on Instagram where AOC is always like on her bed, lying down, looking up. It's like Paris Hilton
We're just
doing Instagram.
$50. You can save a Mexican from being deported.
Oh my God.
It's so bizarre. It's so weird. Like just this this heroification we have of these of some of the most underwhelming political figures. I mean, keep in mind, like we're a country where it's like our politicians do nothing for the people, yet we put them on a bigger pedestal than other places do. We gotta like elections need to be completely publicly funded, 6 weeks max. That's what we need to do. 6 weeks max. Totally publicly funded. You don't see, I mean, and I'm not saying other countries don't have their problems. Of course they do.
Right.
But you don't see, you don't see Boris Johnson having his fucking podcast. You don't see that in other places. It's just freaking bizarre here. You don't see, no one took a step back. How bizarre is it that we made an icon out of a judge? How weird is that? That's fucking weird. No one realized, like it's like, that's bizarre.
And
That's
especially
bizarre.
like, look at her fucking record.
Right, it's
actually.
not even that great. It's like
yeah,
it's just
she
so
was no
weird
hero.
to me. It's so weird to me. I'm not saying that when you have somebody like a Jeremy Corbyn or like a Bernie Sanders, I'm not saying that someone like that isn't going to make
But
a
there's
splash.
substance there. They're actually
There's
talking
substance.
about something.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's substance, but it's like all this like we make them out to be these deities, and then you have these people that kind of cling to them because our system is so freaking rotten that people need to make up political fan fiction to cope with it all. And that political fan fiction comes in various shades. It comes in blue MAGA, it comes in MAGA, it comes in QAnon, it comes in I'm just going to be contrarian for the damn hell with it so it's good for clicks. It comes in the form of your favorite podcaster who is probably getting some dark money that you don't freaking know about. It is a freaking parody of a parody of a parody at this point, and it's really like holy shit.
It's disgusting, and the fact that they will do anything but work for the people they are supposed to represent. I mean, this is the reason they already, what are 63 cop cities that are already in the works around our country, and the AI surveillance. They know this is not sustainable. They know, like they say these things, and this is the thing that is so frustrating, or like it's so frustrating when you talk to normie Dems, is that those people sitting around that round table, they know what's actually popular. They read the same polls that we do. They know that Bernie Sanders would have won in 2016 and in 2020. So right now, their whole job is to pretend that what it is, oh, she should have gone on more podcasts. She should have had 3 inaugurations instead of 2. She should have danced harder with Lizzo, and Bey should have sung at her, the DNC. Like that would have been enough. The campaign of joy, and it shouldn't have been Tim Walz. He pulled her down. It should have been Shapiro. And look at the way, I pulled a clip of Gavin Newsom greeting Donald Trump when he came, and it's this whole like pissing.
His handshake was good.
Yeah, like
look
that,
at his solid handshake.
like,
he showed him in that
all
handshake.
He alphaed him by just being there. Like, oh, chess game, Democrats with the chess game.
Yeah, I mean, it is so embarrassing because people are dying, and like, there's a whole group of libs right now who are blaming the people in Michigan or anybody who was anti-genocide and wouldn't vote for Kamala for the fact that now, that even though Trump like got his ceasefire for a day or whatever, and now basically, Gaza's completely destroyed and they've turned their attention towards the West Bank and they're like, oh, this is what you voted for. I mean,
they went after Alice Wong and disabled groups.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't support Biden. Like, I mean, hey, you disabled people, this is your fault. So you see the fascism, and fascism goes after the disabled people first. Meanwhile, these disabled people affected by COVID are like, Biden ruined our lives. Biden took away our standard of living.
Masks, protections,
killed us,
every kind of social welfare. Yeah.
Like,
but they will never address that. All they're going to do is make fun of you. But fine, great. I love that standard. If you voted for Kamala or Biden or Hillary, you own everything that person does. Like, great. I actually think that if that's the game that they all want to play, that's great. They have a lot to answer for the last 4 years of Biden, starting with genocide. So, like, they should never moralize about anything. If they voted for Biden or Kamala in 2024, they can't moralize. Like, you lost your right to say anything about anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I never blame the voters unless they come at me first.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. I mean, not me directly in this case. Oh, thank you, Justin. I appreciate that so much. I mean, Pat and Lila, they're awesome. So,
cheers, Justin.
That's
Ron,
how that goes.
Thank you, Justin. Ron, you got to come back to Sacramento for some stand-up and $15 pizza slices.
Dude, I still don't know how we found pizza slices that expensive. That was they were good pizza slices.
After hours, $15 pizza
After
slices.
hours, they were like, people are drunk. Oh, it
had gold on it. What was it? Like, why was it $15?
I don't know. I mean, it was a tasty slice. It was a good
because they were open.
But holy, yeah, they were open. They were open.
What's it called? The fluctuating pricing that they do now at Kroger's. Apparently, they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was market price pizza. They were like, we can up this. We can do better here. But yeah, I do want to come back to Sacramento. It's been a hot minute, but yeah, it's on the list.
I need to come up. I need to come up for that $15 pizza. I need to come down to San Pedro and see your place. I know you've been you keep inviting me for beach days, and it's always like a baseball day.
I have invited you for beach days, and you're always like, my kids have stuff. I made a person. I know you've never done that, so you don't know what it's like, but they do things, and you have to go to them. And I'm like, all right. I'll take your word for it. My cat never does any activities that prohibits me from going to the beach, so I can't relate to it.
If only I just had a cat. Should we like? First of all, also we want to give you an out. Like, it's been a long time, so I don't. If you're.
I mean, I feel like at this point I'm going to stay for the duration unless you tell me otherwise.
All right, we'd love it. I think you're stuck with our show. This is how our show works. We spin the wheel and do dumb shit.
Baby.
And strike attached.
All right, and I did just refill my glass, so everyone, should take an opportunity to refill a glass or smoke some weed or whatever makes you happy. Okay, so Davos, with all the best people in the world just ended, and in a little nod to one of the best appearances at Davos most of us have ever seen, we got a little, where is it? Rutger Bregman from 2019.
This is my first time at Davos, and I find it quite a bewildering experience, to be honest. I mean, 1,500 private jets have flown in here to hear Sir David Attenborough speak about, how we're wrecking the planet. And I mean, I hear people talk in the language of participation and justice and equality and transparency. But then, I mean, almost no one raises the real issue of tax avoidance, right? And of the rich just not paying their fair share. I mean, it feels like I'm at a firefighters conference and no one's allowed to speak about water. right? there was only one panel, actually.
Well, we've had two. You're the second of our panelists.
There was only one panel.
Let's go there.
One panel hidden away in the media center that was actually about tax avoidance. Yeah. I was one of the 15 participants. So something needs to change here. I mean, 10 years ago, the World Economic Forum asked the question, what must industry do to prevent a broad social backlash? The answer is very simple. Just stop talking about philanthropy and start talking about taxes. Taxes. We need to, I mean, just 2 days ago, there was a billionaire in here, what's his name? Michael Dell. And he asked the question like, name me one country where a top marginal tax rate of 70% has actually worked. And, you know, I'm a historian. The United States, that's where it has actually worked. In the 1950s, during Republican President Eisenhower, you know, the war veteran, the top marginal tax rate in the US was 91% for people like Michael Dell. You know, the top estate tax for people like Michael Dell was more than 70%. I mean, this is not rocket science. I mean, we can talk for a very long time about all these stupid philanthropy schemes. We can invite Bono once more, but come on, we got to be talking about taxes. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Taxes, taxes, taxes. All the rest is bullshit, in my opinion.
I love him.
Yeah, I bet his invitations are going to get lost in the. Oh yeah, Jen said it. Jen beat me to it.
He was never invited back. And do you remember when Tucker Carlson had him on, and he called Tucker out to his face, and Tucker it was when Tucker still had his show on Fox, and Tucker lost it and like ripped the cord out.
Yes, I have seen that. Yeah. Tucker lost his shit.
Yeah. Did not like, as Zainab says, the truth to power, because they're going to all talk. And I love
that guy.
People, called people out by name, right? That Dell guy, Bono, like, and you.
I love that bit about Bono. Well, let's just have Bono here a few more times.
Yeah,
like
that'll do it. And philanthropy, which is philanthropy is bullshit. We don't need philanthropy if your society is working well. I mean, yes, for people who have actual, like, real catastrophe out of the blue, awful things that are unavoidable, like a sudden death or whatever. But the philanthropy is now taking the place of being taxed, and it's whitewashing these evil billionaires' reputations.
It's been like that all through history too.
Yeah.
It's like, but here's the difference. Back in the day, right before they were about to die, they were really scared they were going to go to hell. So they would give away everything. And that's how we got things like libraries and stuff like that.
And
now,
right.
Now they're not really scared of going to hell, and they're trying to cook up a scheme so they can live forever. So we don't get that this time around.
And there's the death tax, right? Like they're not taxed as much when they get, their kids aren't taxed on the things that they get from their inheritance, right?
Yep. So they just give it, and then it's just.
Why would you give it to people? Oh, God. All right, Pat, what do you want to move on to?
What do we got? I don't know.
I mean, we got a little more. We got some more billionaire stuff. We got some Israel stuff.
By the way, I got to say, I love the fact. So in my movie, not to, but in my movie, you guys have the sound effect. When your guys' cameo comes in, it has the sound effect of your wheel. And right before that is a cameo from one of my favorite rappers, Sage Francis. And it fits in perfectly, the sound of that wheel coming, with Sage Francis's rap. So if there's any Sage Francis fans out there, you get to see Sage Francis in the movie. Again, Left at Wall, wherever you get your movies.
Left at Wall, that's
TV.
right.
Please watch Left at Wall, and especially because that wheel is copyrighted. So I appreciate whatever funds come our way from that wheel use, which I'm sure you agreed to. You read the print, right?
I read the print, and like I said, some of the people, they had an issue with it, but I explained it.
We have a lot of points in this movie. No, I'm kidding. Everybody should go see it. It's really good.
You don't even have to leave YouTube to do it. You can get it right on YouTube Movies.
Easy for everybody.
You could be watching it now instead of Ron and us. Lila's the queen of doing that. She's like, Bernie's on right now.
I know.
It's like peak 2020. She's like, thank you for being here, not listening to Bernie give a fucking moving speech.
I know. I have to look, and I know nobody, like when I said the Golden Globes were on at the same time, and everybody bagged on the Golden Globes, which I totally understand, but I still watch those dumb shows. But I think the Oscars are possibly on a Monday, so it wouldn't matter. But I just might.
I think NFL playoffs are going on right now, but I don't follow. I used to follow the NFL when it was still football, but I haven't followed it in recent years.
When it was still football, as opposed to
they've just bastardized the game so freaking much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every goddamn. Here's when I tapped out, and I'm sure no one in the audience cares about this, but since we got on the topic, I think that whatever they said, we don't know what a catch is. That's what I tuned out. I was like, okay, you've ruined it. You've ruined it. I mean, they're like a year or two away from drafting attorneys to like negotiate every single play. It's just not fun anymore.
podcasters.
They'll get podcasters will
Louder.
debate every single play, and
be
it
funny.
will be a natural birth control for the entire world, and that's just what's going to happen next. So yeah, I still love my hockey. I still love my hockey.
Really? Oh, that's funny.
I love hockey. I love soccer, but yeah, football.
Soccer and basketball for me. But
nice.
Yeah, basketball's
Who's your
politicized too.
team in soccer?
Fiorentina, but just
oh, you're no shit, dude. Really?
Yeah, but just
right.
from traveling, and like I went there to a few games when I was younger, and we went to a restaurant after the game too, and the team was all there, so we were all buddies. And I don't know.
Mikoli, the year he retired, man, I saw one of his last games in with Fiorentina, and then but my team is Forza Napoli because that's my family's team, and then my team in the States is I like United Soccer League better than the majors, so my team is the Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Okay.
While you guys were talking about billionaire owned football. Oh no, you weren't. You're talking about actual football, soccer. Sorry. I was scrolling up and just reading football, some of the comments. And yes, Stephen, we showed a trailer earlier, and the trailer is also on YouTube. You can find Left at Wall, and it's really good. And I'm just looking at some of these comments.
Someone gave Sage a shout out. And yeah, Chris, Sage is awesome. And he does a really fun job in the movie. I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, and all of the music was really good in your movie. Like, it was really good.
And I really have some people to thank for that. I mean, all those artists were, they wanted to be part of it and stuff, and a lot of that music was recommended to me by them. I mean, one of the main artists that was in it is a band called Fire Tiger, who I'm close friends with. And they were all like, yeah, like whatever, like, let's talk about what you might want to use. And then another one is a band that I actually saw when I was in college and have been a fan ever since. But then we kind of connected online years later. And it's a band called the Heavenly States. So those two bands were like the main part of the soundtrack. And then there's this other artist out of North Carolina now via Austin called Who I See. And he actually sent me this thing. Sorry, Lucy wants attention, and keep me out.
I figured.
Jenna just asked if that was Lucy. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Look, blends into the background there. Like
yeah,
the black
she's
is
like,
night.
it's been a while. You got to pick me up now. But by the way, speaking of other cameos in the movie,
yeah,
we showed her. She did not have any reaction to seeing herself on the big screen. She was not. She knows she's a star. She's like,
she's
whatever.
Jaded. She's Hollywood jaded.
Just another day for me. She's like,
right.
I've been on TV before. It's no big deal to me. She doesn't care. But yeah, she has a lovely cameo, a couple cameos. And she's in the credits. Lucy was not in the credits.
As herself.
So, yeah.
That's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
Lucy Placone as herself.
I love it.
But yeah. So they were like instrumental parts of the soundtrack, no pun intended. But the Who I See guy, he actually did this remix where he used a segment from a podcast I was on where I said something. I think what I actually said was something about, I think to be a banker, you just have to be a dick or something like that. Like a prerequisite is being a dick or something like that. And he mixed that and he does like funny. That beat, like the dun, 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 dun. if you listen real closely, you could hear someone going like, I think the prerequisites being a dick. And that's me. Like, that's actually cool. Me from a podcast from years ago.
Right.
And he sent this to me and he goes, oh, do you like this? And then like a while later, I hit him up and we connected and I go, would it be okay if I use this in my movie? And he goes, yeah, of course. So that's like the betting.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I got so, it was such an amazing just meeting of all this like music and art and people and personalities that kind of all came together to just make the movie that I really wanted to make. So I appreciate that. Like I'm glad you dug the soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I really loved it. All right, let's just quickly go through some of the most disgusting things that Trump's done in his first week in office, just because we should all know. He's getting sued for it, but he did an executive order seeking to overturn birthright citizenship. He put a cease and desist order to the Department of Labor so they can't investigate or enforce any complaints. He shut down, as we were talking about before, paused the health agency's communications. He tried to revoke the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. Of course, people are protected under the Constitution. He cannot just change the Constitution. But again, it's just, it's all appalling. It's all disgusting.
He did like 100 things that are unconstitutional and evil, but like all of them should, if you had a fair judicial system, be overturned. But
I think the citizenship thing already was nixed.
That's
I think the judge was like, dude, come on. Like, no.
But what you're going to get is you're going to get like 40 or 50 of them sort of half through, which is evil enough.
Right.
And the Democrats, they're already picking their fight, just like they did with the Senate confirmations. I mean,
how the fuck did they all, including
just like
Bernie, like
Rubio's pretty good compared to the rest of these fuckers.
He's qualified.
So we won't fight on Rubio.
Directs all federal diversity, equity, and inclusion staff to be put on leave, and he plans to lay them off. This is just going to get a lot of women raped.
Oh my God.
Sorry, but it signs an executive order to transfer trans women to men's prisons. He pardoned all of the January 6th rioters, although one of them was already rearrested on gun charges. He and then of course one of the cop unions that had
two of them
who had endorsed him are now recanting or withdrawing their endorsement. I mean, thanks. Too little too late, but I mean, who the fuck cares anyway? Like, whatever. Jesus Christ. And then so then here's the AI thing, which has brought a little bone of contention because apparently Elon and Sam Altman don't enjoy each other's company. They have some kind of brouhaha back and forth. But anyway, Donald Trump on Tuesday talked up a joint venture in investing up to $500 billion for infrastructure tied to artificial intelligence by a new partnership formed by OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank. Big money, quality people. The new entity is called Stargate. It will build out data centers and the electricity generation needed for the further development of the fast evolving AI will be in Texas, which is hilarious because every single time there's a storm or it's too hot or too cold,
worst grid ever,
the whole power grid shuts down in Texas.
Can Gene Roddenberry sue? I mean, let's just start. Let's see how we can fight back here. Can Gene Roddenberry sue?
I mean, in the end, it's going to be things like lawsuits and warring, like wealthy people and their estates who are going to be fighting each other. And that's sort of like the hope that we have on that level. It just
this is such a transparent handoff of money from our government to the guy who just kissed his ass.
Yes,
got elected.
That's
it's just right out in the open, like 500 billion. Are you fucking kidding me? Unapproved by Congress, just a fucking executive order.
It's amazing. And that's exactly what it is. Well, that's what the whole thing's been. I mean, even just the whole Doge thing, it's absolutely ridiculous. How do you cross that T where it's like the party that's supposed to be all about small government makes a new governmental agency?
Yeah.
That does nothing.
With two heads. I mean, I know they just got rid of Vivek, but like with two people at the head instead of one, right? Like it's already going, it's counter to its stated mission. But all those things are always just about firing more people anyway, right? Like that's the whole point. The AI Stargate thing was a little bit cut by Elon Musk, who said that there wasn't the money there to do it. And I think because it's mostly targeting Altman, Ellison, and one other company. And so after OpenAI, which is Altman's agent or a company, announces it, that it's part of this joint venture in Stargate, Elon Musk writes, they don't actually have the money. SoftBank has well under 10 billion secured. I have that on good authority. So they're already, and I think this is also something that Trump loves to do, is have the people underneath him not get along. Like he likes to have that kind of friction because I think he thinks it promotes their working harder to appeal to him. I think he thinks he did it in his first regime also.
Well, I think it's just also a symptom of what happens when you get a bunch of narcissists together. I mean, at the end of the day, he's just a dictionary narcissist. And it's like, no one's going to want to work with that freaking guy, which, by the way, is sort of another thing that you hope for. The first time around, I mean, they were in chaos for such a long period of time because no one could work with the guy. You're hoping that that's what happens this time around because they have a very, very dangerous agenda that, by the way, is just a repackaging of shit the Bush administration came up with over 20 freaking years ago. Project 2025 is the same as the New American Century, just like updated.
Heritage Foundation.
Yeah.
It's like what every Republican always does.
I really think people waiting on internal conflict to explode this broligarchy. I don't think that's going to happen. There's too much money involved. These entities getting handouts from the government because they're sucking up to Trump are not going to change their tune.
They're not going to burn it all down.
They won't.
They're not going to burn it all down.
But if they do, the second guy is ready. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's where Trump is like AI. It's Sam Altman versus Musk. It's like,
I hear you there, but the thing is, though, they still have a finite amount of time to do everything on their agenda. And, the more time that's spent squabbling, the less list items they get to check off is what I'm saying. They're not going to burn it all down. But I mean, you look at his first administration, it could have been a million times worse than it was. And the reason it wasn't a million times worse was mostly because they were sort of just in chaos the entire time. They couldn't come up. I mean, they could have dismantled. And I know our healthcare system is beyond terrible already. They could have made it even worse.
Yeah.
But they just weren't able to get that together.
I feel like the 4-year gap allowed them to have a little bit more managerial presence put in place. Like there's a little bit more of like, okay, this is what's going to happen. Here's how we're going to, like the big personalities, those big billionaires might have their different, tiffs back and forth. But I do think that there is possibly going to be less chaos this time, both because there are more people put in place who have been running with, when we get into office again, this is the directive. And also because Democrats have there's no even pretense at resistance. So I think
there's no resistance, but they also,
I have not seen any knitted hats. Where are they?
Where are my pink pussy hats?
Where are the knitted hats?
Oh my God.
Well, I was going to say, but they also, they have the courts now. So that chaos was settled by the courts largely the first time around. And there's no denying that, out of the 100 executive orders, 20 of them were laughed at in their face, by the courts initially.
Right.
But 20 of them will get through just because of the courts that we have now versus previously.
Yeah. Okay, what do we think about this, the Chinese AI? So, first of all, nobody got to vote or have a public discussion on AI and why we need it and if we need it at all. So I resent all of this. I get why we need it for like laser surgery or life-saving things that could make things more like specific, but I don't want it to take away people's jobs. I don't want it to steal people's creative output, all of that kind of stuff. But so, okay, the Chinese one is called DeepSeek. And apparently it was like a side hustle gig for some engineer guy, done on $6 billion instead of 500 billion.
This is just a small little weekend gig.
Yeah, it was his weekend gig.
6 billion weekend gig.
And where is it? The DeepSeek. Okay, so here is a little known AI lab out of China has ignited panic through Silicon Valley after releasing AI models that can outperform America's best, despite being built more cheaply and with less powerful chips. DeepSeek, as the lab is called, unveiled a free open source large language model in late December that it says took only 2 months and less than 6 million. Sorry, fake news for me. I said billion. 6 million to build using reduced capability chips from NVIDIA called H800s. These new developments have raised alarms on whether America's global lead in artificial intelligence is shrinking and called into question big tech's massive spending on building AI models in data centers. So I don't understand enough of the technical stuff about it, but it does seem to have turned everybody on their heads. What do we think?
It's if you took and allowed China to bring in one of their good electric cars. And
Right.
you're like, you're not going to buy a Tesla anymore when you see how good these cars are for fucking way less. And this is the same thing. And it's just right in front of everybody. And Silicon Valley can't justify their existence. And their big epic leader is the guy who makes the fucking genius tunnels for 2 cars to go down.
Oh my God.
You know,
Yeah.
this is the guy who's cozying up to our president. It's idiocracy. If you want to talk about somebody that could sue our government for
for
infringing on their
copyright.
movie,
Yeah.
our government turned our whole country into idiocracy. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is crazy. That's our money they're using for this that nobody needs.
Yeah, I think a lot of the AI stuff. So I think a lot of the AI stuff is just marketing. Like a lot of it is just repackaging stuff that we've already had for a long time.
Yeah.
And then some of it is going a bit further. It's one of those things. I mean, like anything else, there are some tools that can do some very interesting and amazing things, and you still
Right.
need someone who knows what they're doing running said tool. Especially tools in like, the audio space and stuff like that. I mean, there's some things
Right.
that AI could do that really makes the audio portion of filmmaking a lot easier, but you still need an engineer running those tools to
Right.
know how to like separate the different things. So, without getting like too overly specific, more so that I've already gotten, it's like there's some tools that I think are pretty freaking great. There's other tools that are just disturbing that I don't think we freaking need. And of course, people are going to highlight those tools and they're going to try to use those tools to take people's jobs away. Meanwhile, it's like, well, all these tools do, like a lot of the generative AI, it just scrapes existing works, and it also doesn't realize that a human being doesn't have 12 fingers. So
I know that's always the
just
hand.
takes a ton of energy. So I don't know. I wish we would just sort of focus on the good tools that are actually helpful and useful, and the bad ones just sort of like, I don't know, like repackage or just
not as much
away
money. There's
somewhere.
not as much money in doing things that are useful.
I know. It's such a shame.
To me, they're exaggerating the effectiveness of AI now. Like they're calling a lot of things AI, which is just processing better. Like, Photoshop AI
exactly.
stuff is it's just better than it was a little bit before, but now it's got an AI tech. But at the same time, all bad things are happening faster now than we expected. Like climate change is coming faster. And the AI people, the experts in the field are saying AI is being integrated in society a lot faster than we thought. So we need to be on guard for what that means, I think, because as much as right now you're like, AI just does some shit on Photoshop. It's like not a big deal, but these guys really think middle management's gone. when the AI settles in.
Oh, they for sure do. And also everybody under middle management and all creatives except for the stars. I mean, when Sam Altman says it's going to be a different social contract, he's not saying, and so everyone is going to have a UBI and make,
right.
Like he's not saying, so people are going to be able to spend more time with their families and do their hobbies and create art and read and think and enjoy nature. That's not what when he talks about social contract, he's not talking about how it's going to be better, because otherwise he'd say that. You could say that.
No, exactly. No, he's implying that there's going to be a rich and poor gap that's even worse.
Yeah,
that's why I say it could be a great thing, but it's not going to be.
Yeah.
No, it's like the Star Trek communism, benefit to society from tech, but half society's in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll get you on a pre-crime. They're going to be able to tell that. Like they say they're going to cure cancer, but they really want to evaluate everybody's blood and whatever's in you to see oh, it's a lot of testosterone. You're probably a little bit more violent. We're going to keep more eyes on this person. I mean,
they're going to know if I lose my job, I'm Luigi number 2.
Yeah, exactly. And how many times have you texted or even written hashtag free Luigi? Like they're going to have all of that kind of stuff on everybody. And again, at the very beginning of the war on Gaza, there were those videos of people being arrested in Gaza for having just put out free Palestine, or arrested for their social media content, arrested. And then now we see things, we have Harvard has just adopted the International Holocaust Remembrance Association's definition of anti-Semitism. Ali Abanima was just arrested in Switzerland. I mean, the AI is going to be used as surveillance and control. It's going to be used to get rid of having to pay people and to keep everybody under a boot. Those are the two main functions for the billionaire class. That's the function. Steal more wealth.
But hey, we get memes. We can meme with the AI, so it's not total loss.
We're gonna need a bigger Luigi.
We can write a whole movie using AI.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, that's the plan. That is what Bob Iger at Disney wants to do. First draft will definitely be AI.
First you lose your home, and then the AI will just be everything.
Yeah.
It's a time.
Yeah, it really is, which is why it's more important than ever for people to be speaking out and
supporting indie film. No, just kidding.
Supporting indie films.
Just kidding, sort of.
Lefty podcasts, joining unions, joining strikes. If you ever see a strike, just pull on up and walk a few rounds with people, all of that stuff, because that's the only hope we have. Really is working class solidarity. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
That's it. We're not appealing to these people's better natures. They don't have them.
Related to that, keep boycotting Israeli products. I mean, we can't act like this is over and Starbucks is great now.
Oh God, yeah.
Don't let them off the hook for this stuff. We got to keep going. So
yeah. All right. I don't think we're gonna dig into a new subject at this point, right? Or, I mean, is there something else?
World hunger, Ron, thoughts?
Bono said that capitalism can solve it. So I think he's got that one.
More Bono. God. Gotcha.
I can't believe I used to like Bono. That hurts.
Do you like the music? So I can go on. I don't get you two. I mean, just putting aside his annoying politics, I don't get you two. I've never gotten you two.
I did.
You got to listen to the early stuff. I did. It sounds like something that Joe Strummer would have cut from his repertoire. I don't get you two. I just don't.
I liked them up until 93, 94. I got it.
Yeah,
I did.
I hated them at the time. And then,
oh, really?
It became a nostalgic looking back thing that I was like, I sort of like the early stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe I just group thought myself into liking them, but I hate him. He was always a douche with his stupid glasses.
He's always been a douche.
Guy.
Yeah. And all about philanthropy, like, with his stuff with Bush. And I mean,
that's selfie.
Yeah.
What a guy. You should boycott U.S. products as a Canadian. What we're trying to do is so ridiculous. And by the way, that talk about a dog that got caught by the car moment. Donald Trump with that whole like, oh yeah, we're going to have tariffs in Canada. We get a ton of lumber from Canada. We get a ton of our energy from Canada. And a lot of big U.S. companies aren't going to have their stuff on Canadian shelves much longer.
Yep.
He is going to piss a whole lot of people off with that. He did not think that through. Same with China, but he's really pissing Canada off. And
Canada, most of our oil, China,
Mexico,
every piece of clothes that you buy everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
China. And we don't have the labor force to make it here. It's unaffordable. It will never happen. We can't replace that.
We don't make anything here. And we've made all of our workers sick. Like everybody's either sick or dead or doesn't have enough money to buy products. So what are we doing? Yeah, it really is like they looked at those old movies and books like they were instruction manuals instead of things to avoid. Like it's the craziest time. All right, Pat, what do you think? Where are we going?
Let's spin the wheel. That's my that's my default.
That's the
baby.
We'll end on a high note. All right, I'm gonna let you pick the timeline cleanse.
All right, I'm gonna skip the timeline cleanse and go to a song because why not?
Oligarchs were to be expected, CEOs and their wives to boot. What came as a surprise was not once, but twice came the big Nazi salute. Oh, buddy, Mr. Musk, edgelord troll of the land. Mr. Musk knows just what he's doing with his hands. Something about all the excitement and fervor got the strange man dancing like a German Führer. Meta, Apple, Amazon, TikTok, Tesla, now the game is on. Them folks don't have me and you in mind. It takes a mountain of bodies just to climb that high. And now quasi and plastic technocratic fascist students seek hail salutes out and into the masses. They dump a big smoke bomb, keep you distracted, signing tons of weird shit into executive action. They need you divided, agreeing on nothing, keep the breeding machine oiled up and running. Hate is a poison, it's making them money, takes balls to stand up and be like Bishop Buddy.
Okay, the one thing that was good, right? The
Love
only
it.
thing I did want to say was, Ali Abunimah, whom I follow, and I think he's fantastic, did write about that bishop who, got so much credit for being so courageous and has not really at all spoken out about the genocide in Gaza and, repeated the rape, atrocity, propaganda, lies. And, I just, again, like Biden deported more people than Trump did. And she never spoke to Biden that way. Right. So again,
it's so much easier to speak out against a clear villain like Trump. But if you want to address the systemic stuff, you have to speak out against Democrats.
So that's all I'd like to add to that, because she's getting a ton of props from all the, the Dem loyalists about how she's so courageous, but it would have been really courageous if she had reminded Biden to have some of that empathy that he talked about when they told people not to come,
Yeah, but it's you're taking the long road if you don't pick a team. So,
I am team working class.
We're all taking the long. Well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I know.
If you don't pick one of the Wall Street spots or teams, you're taking the long road.
Are they selling a Luigi meme stock yet? That's what I want to know, because I'm all in on that meme stock.
I've heard some grumblings that it might be a mistrial. I'm not getting my hopes up.
I have too.
I am really hoping for that. Oh man, if they had to just declare a mistrial,
wouldn't that be excellent?
That'd be so cool.
I think that's his lawyer's tactic right now, is that too many people have heard about it. It's, there's nobody's going to be impartial, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
You think it's going to go to
working in
trial?
law makes me think no. Like, look, at the end of the day, they might go through the whole trial and he might get a mistrial then or something, but you're not getting nothing is happening soon on that. It's got to be a whole case put in front of the public and to the jury. And then, this whole idea of what's that called? The jury
nullification.
Jury nullification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just means you get to retry the case unless you have all of them on board to say you're nullifying the jury. If it's a split jury, you can retry the case, and it's up to the prosecutor's discretion to do that. So they're going to go after him forever.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting off.
And you saw they just hired a new CEO at United Healthcare who is going to follow in the same pattern. He's going to keep up Brian Thompson's good work. They're going to keep using the AI. And I'm thinking, like, it's like that joke about, like that, first place prize is a week in Philadelphia and second place is 2 weeks in Philadelphia. It feels like whoever got the prize of being the CEO of United Healthcare knows he has a target on his back or head or whatever. But all right, that feels like enough good news for the time being. What do you think, Pat? Did we do it?
I think we did it. I think we want to give Ron another shout out to thank you for coming on as well.
Thank you for having me.
Your comedy is amazing, which I've said before, surprised me. And I apologize for saying that, but I like saying it because you're so good at your political acumen and you're just very wise. You were great on Dore for being the smart one in the room and probably informing a lot of his politics before he turned into a piece of shit.
Before he took all the money.
But appreciate you, and your stand-up is great. Please, if you have a chance to catch Ron stand-up, he's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
So watch the movie as well, obviously.
I can attest to that. And I was sitting there with Tina when she was laughing so loudly that during a stand-up set of yours that you had to ask her to stop laughing because it was like interrupting. So
I don't
she was
remember
like,
that.
she was laughing and like repeating your lines because she was laughing so hard, but she was like enjoying it. But it was kind of like she was there just with you, enjoying something you said.
Okay.
But it was really funny. We were all laughing anyway. But yes,
she has a distinguished laugh. Yes, she does. And if I could just, I'll let people know again, please, Left It Wall, wherever you get your movies, you can get it right here on YouTube. You could literally start it right after this. You can rent it on YouTube Movies. You can rent it on Apple TV. You can rent it on, thanks, Zainab. It's good to see you. Thank you, Truth to Tweet.
Got a lot of them. Everybody's like loving you. Got a lot. Hang out here for a second, everybody.
Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you. And I really hope you enjoy Left It Wall. It was an amazing time making it. You guys are awesome in it. Your cameo is fantastic. You knocked it out of the park. And it adds so much to the movie. So you get to see everyone here in the movie. You'll get to see my cat Lucy in the movie. Pat's cat's not in the movie, although that's a
sequel.
Fix that for the next one.
It's in the contract for the next one.
We got to fix it for the next one. So Left It Wall. And thank you guys so much in advance. And I hope you love the movie. And thanks for having me. It's always great coming on with you guys.
We love it. Come back anytime. We adore you. Go see Left It Wall. We will see everybody on Wednesday. We're going out on a little protest at Davos because we got to protest these evil billionaire ghouls every chance we get. Love everybody. Keep punching up. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all. Thank you.
Well, quite extraordinary. We're not even in Davos yet, and already you can see there's a police line here because the protesters are already barring us from getting to the World Economic Forum. We know that a lot of green protesters don't like WEF. We know that anti-capitalists don't like WEF. There's a whole host of organizations who do not like what the World Economic Forum stands for. This is one of the representatives of the group standing here. Just give us an idea of why you're protesting, why you're stopping all the delegates getting up the hill.
Yeah, we are here in a blockade to block the road to Davos with our bodies because the World Economic Forum in Davos stands for capitalist ideas, for exploitation, for neo-colonial structures, and for greenwashing, which is unacceptable. And we're here because we want that to stop.